All right, welcome. Today is December 5th, 11:37 a.m. On the call, I have Coach Hunter. Hunter, welcome. First of all, thank you for doing this. And secondly, you might want to give us a quick introduction about yourself and how the first half of the season is going. Are you enjoying yourself? Is the league, your level that you're looking for? Are the players the level that you're looking for, etc.?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Again, my name's Coach Hunter. Been down here in South Florida now for it's been probably about 4 years. This is my year three at the club and Boynton Knights. I have two teams, so I have the U15 girls who are in the NPL league, and then I also have a U10 girls team who's also in the FCL league as well. First half of the season has gone very well, in my opinion. The results have been good. Competition has been good. I would say, overall, since our club has gotten into ECNLR, it was kind of a big question mark. But I think the level that my girls are at, we're are right where we need to be. Especially the older girls. I think they're, right now I think we're in third place in our league, I think. Yeah, third place in our league. And we have opportunities to kind of jump from there. So I would say the first, front half of the table is pretty strong. I'd say the bottom half is not there on a competition basis, but overall, I think, they're right where they need to be. So again, everything's going well in my mind. So
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that the girls are being challenged in the league. You do not want to be in the league where you go undefeated and win every game by 3 or 4 goals, right? You need to be
right.
like top half or halfway for the girls to be challenged and triggered. So that brings us to the next step. So your session, it's not an assessment evaluation. It's I like to call it an observation. So obviously, you graduate your D license a couple of months ago. So obviously you still have a couple of licenses to go and a pathway to follow. So it's always nice to just have a perspective or a point of view of, you know, someone like myself or somebody else that has a little bit more experience under their belt as well. So the session was a build out from the back session with the U15 girls. So let's talk about that one first. How do you think overall how it went, and what do you think you could have improved overall? I'm not talking about activity one, two, or three, but overall. And if you could do it all over again, what would you change?
So yeah, all right. So I did do a again build out of the back, kind of a overview of it. Basically, I would have every ball kind of start with a keeper. Our idea here is what I've noticed we were kind of struggling with in games was releasing the ball from either the center back and or outside back, getting kind of up. I'd like to see it a little bit quicker. So again, what would happen? What I thought went really well in this one is I was really working with my center backs on their first touch, trying to kind of open up wide, trying to get the ball out wide to the outside back, quicker. And I also wanted to challenge my outside backs a little bit more. I think they're keen to kind of releasing the ball a little bit too quickly. Maybe they want to play a ball over the top or really not trying their best to keep possession. So I was really focusing on two things. The first thing was going to be, setting yourself up from the center back to get the ball out wide. And then the second thing was for my outside back, basically, if there's green grass in front of you, I want to see him kind of dribbling and taking that space. So those are the two things that I think that we've really been, not necessarily missing, but I think we could do a much better job with it. And again, I think not only that, the way I kind of set things up was with I play a 4-3-3 in a real game. So I really wanted to not just get my defenders involved, but also understand from my forwards and my outside midfielders and midfielders there, where to press, where to find, where to go to the ball, how to kind of shift in areas. So overall, it went, I think, really well. I think they are learning to kind of advance the ball and not just kick it up the field and hope and pray that a forward gets behind. So I think that's kind of where we're at. So.
So going off of this image and your session, do you remember doing maybe a different setup where this is the left winger pressing the right center back? Did you go with a different setup to maybe trigger, uh, the decision making from the center back as well and the right back or the center mid by
Also,
having the center forward pressing, maybe?
yeah, also did like a 4-4-2 with two forwards pressing the center backs, and then my midfielders kind of covering that as well.
Right. So I like that because you made them think about and the coaching methodology or coaching approach was more like, okay, what do you see? What kind of decisions do you have to make, and what are your teammates doing? So it was also not just decision making, but it also involves scanning and recognizing the tactical game situation and what's coming at them. So that was yesterday. So I sent you this sheet evaluation form to you just to see what we were looking for. So you uh, got back to me with some feedback with the score line, and then I added some notes as well from my observation. So overall, very good showing, very decent, very good session as well. I think the girls picked up on a lot of things during the session, and they got exposed to game-like reality-based situation in the game as well, including that variation. That's what I wanted to get at with the wingers pressing versus the center forward pressing versus 1, 2, or 3 pressing. So overall, I thought it went really well. Your setup is on point because you have back-to-back teams anyway. But even with your 6 o'clock, you're always there 30 or 35 minutes prior to that anyway, because I'm there at the same time. So I see you. Your session plan, you sent me that main activity. Um, Obviously very professional as well for uniform. It's also requirement from the ECNL pathway as well that we're there and professional. And I like the setup as well because you kind of went from simple to complex as well from activity 1, 2, 3 by just adding players. So your setup and your organization pretty much stayed the same with that progression structure in the session. So I like that. The content, obviously, U15 girls, they have to be exposed, introductory, tactical game situations. So we like that. I did notice that because of that decision making is one thing, but the technical execution of it kind of gave you a little bit of a heartache there, and burdens. So maybe a question for you. Overall, are you happy with the level of the girls? Unlike level of the girls, not league wise, because you just mentioned that the bottom half are kind of like, so and so, but in the top half. So overall, the girls, are you happy with the league, the level of play, their understanding of the game?
Yeah, I mean, overall, yes. I would say, the biggest challenge, not just, I think we all have, is obviously finding the difference between like your top, 4 or 5 players versus, your bottom half players. So when you can obviously you're trying to get everybody up to a certain level and a certain flow, and some want to go quicker than the others. So I would say, that's a challenge that we all have as coaches, obviously. But yeah, I would say overall, happy with it, and kind of like you pointed out, for some of those that are needing the extra attention, you kind of have to slow it down for them to kind of get it going again.
Which is good because players and coaches were allowed to make mistakes, right? So sometimes players just need time to practice or get more experience or get more exposure. Uh, I've noticed that the girls felt comfortable at practice making those mistakes.
Mhm.
And then you were kind of guiding them and supporting them as well. One thing that I've noticed, and maybe you noticed this too, maybe because I was there, but sometimes an intervention, I tend to wait until I see like 2, 3, like a pattern involved. The
Mhm.
same player, just different players in the same position, or just the decision making. And once I see 2, 3, 4 mistakes, there's a pattern. That means I have to intervene.
Right.
Like I said, it might have been a little bit different because I was there, but I noticed that you jumped in. It was one mistake, and you jumped in to demo, right? And I guess that's just the world of US soccer and the licenses where you have to record stuff and being evaluated. But
Yep.
so that's just one. I mean, we're also in a comfortable environment, right? With our club, we're allowed to make mistakes. So even if you miss that one opportunity to jump in, it's okay, but tend to observe first and let them, uh, make those mistakes a couple of times over so they know. And then when you did demo, uh, I noticed that you demoed it yourself. I'm sorry, you stop and froze, and then you had the players demo it versus you. Uh, what I tend to do is when I stop and freeze, I try to do the demo myself and then
Mm.
rewind and have the players do it. So what you did yesterday was you stop and froze, great moment, right? Coaching moment, coaching point, and then you demoed it yourself and then you just started playing again. So it's usually you stop and freeze, you explain, okay, this is what's going wrong. What would happen? Like guided questions. What would happen if I go here? Do we have numbers up? Do we have numbers down? Can you see what's happening? And then you rewind and you let the players do it again so they actually see it. So that's something that I missed yesterday.
Hmm.
And I also mentioned it here. Like the stop and freeze was good, but we did not rewind and we did not repeat. Um,
Yep.
in an ideal scenario, you see it, you do the demo, ask guided questions. What would happen? This, what would happen if this? And then you rewind it back. You let the players play the pass unopposed, and then you rewind it back again. And then it's when you play like game like, right, reality based. So that's something that I noticed, and maybe if you go back to other sessions, maybe you think about it as well that you've done it in the past. But that's just observation and just a quick tip. Like patience is key, especially from coaches and players as well, because we need time to learn. And
Yep.
then just making it repetitive and consistent. Um, but yeah, like I said, overall, very good. I think it was a good moment. So that's where it all starts, right? That you recognize what's going wrong. And regardless, even if you stepped in a little bit quickly, the girls still felt comfortable under your guidance and under your coaching. So all good. Um, Moving forward, even from simple to complex, from lower numbers to bigger numbers, the girls stayed engaged the whole practice because I think they felt that it was getting harder and harder as well the more players you added.
Yep.
So yeah, the reason why I asked and you scored yourself for three on here too. So the not the appropriate language, but maybe like demeanor or body language. The frustration, and I'm guilty of that too. Sometimes the frustration gets the upper hand, the
Yeah.
level of play, and so. Um, but as long as there's no foul language and there's a holistic approach, I mean, the parents and the players, the club is a big fan of a holistic approach. So as long as the players and the parents know you and you
Yep.
know them, they might accept things a little bit more. Let me put it that
Right. Right.
way. One thing that I wanted to also highlight here, the correct terminology for moves, and I think us as a club, we're guilty of that, and coaches as well, that there's not really any consistency. And
Hmm.
and I've noted that for next steps as well, because people, uh, uh, an example, play to the back foot. And other coach might say receive with an open body. Another coach might say receive with the open hips. Open up your hips, right? It's all the same thing, but it's not consistent. So when players go from one coach to another, it's good and bad that different terminology is used, but it's
Yep.
also good and bad for not being consistent. So,
Agreed. Totally. Yep.
yeah. So that's something that we need to take care of as well. But overall, I think the girls were more successful than not. So your topic and your session, I think the girls got something out of it at the end of it. Um, um, it's a thought of mine. One more thing that I'd like to mention is maybe check for understanding at the end. You ask the girls, okay, what do we focus on? You let them, it's guided questions, right? You let them give you the answer. So okay, what was coaching point one, two, three? What did we focus on? Were we successful? What were our primary players, etc. So,
Mhm.
and your documentation prior to it will help you,
Yep.
right? Don't forget the US soccer. formatting. Your team should always be playing up and try to use your numbers as well. So it's easier for you to identify your primary players and your
Right,
secondary
right.
players. And it's easier for you to also start documenting specific player actions that are needed, like the angle, the speed, the angle, the timing, the distance of support for your right back, etc.
Yeah.
So, already mentioned, like from club perspective, what the next steps could be. Let's go individually for you first. Do you have any next steps that you can specify, identify that we can focus on for the next time we do this?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Honestly, I would love to. I'd love to. Sometimes, I think simple is key for I guess quote unquote activities. But I'd love to just kind of expand. You know, be more specific in my approach to activities and know exactly the areas that we're working on, like whether it's building out of the back, attacking third, you know, or
Periodization.
whatever it may be, just be a lot more specific on areas that I'm trying to accomplish. That would be for me individually, I think something that, just knowing different activities and knowing exactly where, have a plan, so to speak, like really like dial in on, I want to work on, you know, crossing, but getting there from the middle, right? Just something very specific, I think would be helpful for me.
Well, two things that can help and support you in that one. One are obviously our technical lead, club technical lead from within the club, where we offer you and we give you the periodization, right? With microcycles, 12 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, different areas of the field, etc., where we help you and guide you week by week. Or you can also approach it, and that's where we give you the flexibility as a coach, where you play a game on the weekend, and maybe the Monday you can do your performance analysis, or maybe you can see what went wrong on the weekend, and then you can
Right,
take that Monday session. Usually it's like a recovery session anyway, because sometimes we have one or two games. And then you
right.
can use that recovery session just as a refresh or a reminder, a refresher of a topic that you might have done 2, 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Denying scoring opportunities in the central channel, for instance, that you can only focus on your two center backs and one or two sixes. So
Yep.
it's also the physical load that comes into play. But you can use that one night session
Yeah.
to do a refresher or maybe just hit that little bullet point that you saw on the weekend, or you
Yep.
can just follow a curriculum, which guilty, not in place and working on it. But, we can use that. And
Yep.
I go with the latter one. I have my own periodization and I just go over, the whole season, because it's youth soccer. It's not like we have, FIFA World Championships around the corner, right?
Yeah.
So it's still about youth development, right? So trust the process. Um,
Exactly.
so that's individually, be more specific. That's good. Anything else personally or maybe as a club that we can work on?
No, I think you kind of touched the main, highlighted points. I mean, I personally, I enjoy the flex. I guess you can call flexibility of being able to kind of run our own training sessions and kind of run things the way that we would like to. I would like to see a little bit more from a club on exactly what you said, right? Whether it's like a standard, terminology would be great, a standard warm up, something like that, that all of us are accustomed to, that we know. Just kind of across the board, so everybody's on the same page and it looks a little bit more unified. I think would be very helpful for the group. But again, I also really do value the fact that we kind of are open to managing our own team and being able to do those things. So, as long as we have maybe some sort of, like I said, maybe, a direction, whatever that may be, would be, I think, awesome.
I completely get it. So I took some notes. I'll add them to the slideshow here. I'll send it to you as well. I'll try to pencil in maybe another meeting. We typically do an observation in the first half and then the second half of the season. So give or take a couple of months, where we can meet up again and see where we're at in regards to everything. So, your professional, your individual professional development plan there. Just a quick question: are you looking to do any more licenses for U.S. soccer
Yeah,
or
I was
time?
looking today actually. I was thinking about doing the C. And for exact, I think literally like a day or two ago, I have to have it for 6 months. So C would be my next license, and I mean, I honestly I enjoy taking the classes, so they're fun for me. So I enjoy them. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely thinking about it, and if I do it, it would be I'll probably make the decision here pretty quick because of the next one's in Palm Beach Gardens, which is close by. So
I did
let's
my
do
C license. It was 2 weeks in Weston, so it was an hour drive up and an hour drive back for
it.
two
Palm Beach
weeks.
Gardens, can't beat that. It's like 20 minutes from my house. So
Yeah. Well, good luck. I want to thank you again for all your hard work. We really appreciate being part of the club here, being part of the group. Your feedback is always very much appreciated. The girls are getting better. The girls are still being challenged. The parents are not really any complaints from the parent side, so we're doing a good job. So, so thank you for doing this, and I'll see you tonight.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.